Welcome back. Coming up soon, Scotland against New Zealand, the fourth and last quarter-final of Rugby World Cup 1995. Those two teams, the winner will already know who they're playing against after today's events in Cape Town. Let's see the highlights then, starting in the first half, England leading by 6 points to 3.
Eels trying to scramble away. Back it comes. Little on the little mistake. Jarrett has got outside, away to Tony Underwood. Underwood away. Can Damien Smith get him? No, he can't. Tony Underwood, confident all the way that he was going to go into the corner. Holding up the tackle from Damien Smith. And tremendous presence there from Rob Andrew at the other end. A lot of people would have kicked that away.
But in their effort to play an expansive game, get the ball to big men like John Aloma on the wing, they're moving ball, which previous All Black sides didn't do. I think there's an opportunity there with the kind of game that Scotland can play to get in amongst them. And that's where I think the key to the match might lie.
The first 20 minutes could be crucial then.
Absolutely, because I think if the All Blacks get the initiative, I think this All Black side is something special. You know, when you think of Cronfeld, we're all raving about him. They left Michael Jones behind, haven't they? You know, where are they coming from?
A fantastic side then, the All Blacks, but Scotland have got a big task on their hands. We're going to hand you over to our commentary team. Chris Ray is the commentator, Gordon Brown and Clive Norling, his co-commentators.
And good afternoon to you from Loftus Versfeld, which is looking positively regal in this warm winter sunshine, as the team's just about to take the field. The atmosphere is really building up. We hope we can maintain the quite extraordinary excitement that we had in the earlier match. And the two teams come on, Scotland led by Gavin Hastings and New Zealand by Sean Fitzpatrick, who are both coincidentally the sole survivors of the 1987 game, the last meeting between those sides in the World Cup, when also New Zealand wore their white jerseys. They lost the toss and they have had to concede that at least. They wear the white jerseys this afternoon. So we're all set for a magnificent game as we await now the anthems of both sides. The sunshine once again here at Loftus, making it really one of the most attractive grounds in world rugby. And Scotland, of course, never having beaten the All Blacks. They've drawn with them twice, but never having beaten them. And so this, for every man jack of the Scottish side, the biggest day of their rugby careers. We now line up there, Gavin Hastings captaining Scotland for the 20th time and winning his 61st cap. And now we await the national anthem. So we now wait for Flower of Scotland. So the Scots won't lack for support here this afternoon. They've had a marvellous, loyal band of travelling support following them all the way around. And of course there's a huge gathering also here from New Zealand. So before we get to the kick-off, we have the traditional All Black ritual, the haka, and there's Jamie Joseph, who was brought in at the last minute into this game, and he'll be charged with the responsibility of leading the All Blacks in the haka. Performed as ever with great passion. So now let's have a look at the teams. There's the Scottish side with the rare luxury at this stage of being able to pick their strongest 15. Gavin Hastings, the sole Scottish survivor of that last World Cup meeting in Christchurch, winning today his 61st cap and playing for the 51st time with brother Scott. So much though depending on the control and discipline of that pack, which has played so well today. Doddy Weir and Damien Cronin have a huge job in the line out. And there's also the tackling of that back row, which will be crucial. Finally, spare a thought, though, for young Craig Joyner. He has the responsibility of marking Jonah Lomu. The All Blacks, confident and building towards a peak, have made one late change. Tactical, I think, as much as anything to do with injury. Jamie Joseph comes onto the blind side flank with Mike Brewer, originally selected, moving to the bench. Injury, though, the reason why Craig Osborne isn't at full-back, his place taken by Jeff Wilson, playing in his first international in the position, and Wilson's place on the wing taken by Mark Ellis, who scored 6 tries last week against Japan. Both the Brook brothers are playing. Replacements bench, well, there's plenty of scoring power on that. Tony Stanger, second in the list of all-time Scottish try scorers. And the All Blacks, Simon Culhane, who against Japan broke Gavin Hastings' record of 44 points. He scored 45 on his international debut. And Alama Iramia, a late call onto the replacements bench because of possible injury problems with Frank Bunce. The referee is the Welshman Derek Bevan, who took control so authoritatively of the opening match of this tournament, and of course who refereed in the last World Cup final. So there is the man who has stamped his authority on this tournament so far, Gavin Hastings, retiring of course at the end of this World Cup, and on whom so much depends. Certainly so important that he kicks his goals, chances that are given to him, because the All Blacks don't give many throughout the course of a match. So the referee just checking with his watch, Derek Bevan. Chance, of course, that he may well referee in the final again, and certainly one of the world's outstanding referees, checking with both captains that they're ready, and we are. And it's Craig Chalmers with an innovative quick kick-off to Rob Wainwright. Rob Wainwright quickly onto the ball. The Scottish forwards piling in now, and it's back for them. Bumping tackle there in midfield, the ball thrown forward, and no advantage, so it'll be a scrummage down. But early signs of innovative play by Scotland, Gordon Brown.
Yes, I'm delighted to see they're going to take the game to the All Blacks every way possible. And of course, young Brian Redpath there, the adrenaline just pumping through his veins, and he hurtled that pass at Craig Chalmers.
So the first scrummage of the match, the All Blacks, as they have been, going so low in that scrum and getting just that little bit of advantage with the push. Tuchel Hain controlled, languid style up into the Scottish 22, and across comes Gavin Hastings with Mark Ellis, and it was Ellis who got there, a little bit lackadaisical perhaps by Hastings, surprised by Ellis's speed. So we had the first scrum, and now we have the first line out, just outside the Scottish 22. That infuriating half sun, half shadow, which makes it so difficult. Beautifully taken at the rear there by Weir. Controlled play, high tackle, and that's a penalty against Scotland, and a high tackle adjudged against Scotland.
Yes, Chris, the ball was taken superbly by Doddy Weir. He laid it back, but when one of the All Black flankers went to go through, he was actually grabbed high around the neck, and Derek Bevan was actually given the penalty for obstruction.
Well, the Scots can ill afford indiscipline like that, and so close to their goal, and given that Andrew Mertens is in such magnificent form. So Mertens winning today his 4th cap. Just 22 years of age. Tremendous maturity. Well, that's a let off for Scotland. So the first miss of the day from New Zealand and Mertens. And Scotland just waiting until the ball is cleared. A spare ball had come on to the field. It's cleared off now. And once again, Craig Chalmers looking for a change of option. To Jeff Wilson. Straight to his opposite now. So often this has been the tactic in this tournament when there's nothing very much on. And that's a ball that Joyner will have to go back into his 22. And it's Logan into touch.
Well, there just seemed to a wee bit extra niggle there in Logan after he cleared the ball into touch. And I'm delighted that Derek Bevan is taking such a firm grip at this stage, because it's one or two occasions like that in past games, Chris, where the referees have allowed these wee bits of niggle to go, and of course they've become magnified.
Well, here we see Logan with Mark Ellis on top of them, and that was what the penalty was for. There was no need for that tackle. We're again in the middle of the line out doing well. Difficult ball for Chalmers, but he's done extremely well to stay on his feet, and Chalmers has made ground to Peters. He can't control it though, picked up by Jamie Joseph. All Blacks hold to Culhane, to Bunce, and out to Lomu. This is not the... Oh, it's Lomu straight past Joyner. Hastings, he's still going. It's Lomu still going. Lomu up to the line. He's unstoppable. He's held, but little is over for the try. And the very last thing that the Scots wanted was to give John Lomu that amount of room. And it was Little who got the try, but it was Lomu, who else, who did the work.
Well, it's quite frightening to see the big man stretching his legs like that. I mean, wee Craig Joyner, he went away from him. Scott Hastings couldn't get at him. Gavin sort of half stopped him a wee bit. The cover defence got him there, Graham Shield, but the support play, good score, great support play, but what a frightening prospect it is to try and bring this man down.
So the Dark Destroyer has done it again, and really he had so much room there, but we must remember that Scott Hastings, Gavin Hastings are amongst the finest tacklers in world rugby, and not even they could get to this man. So Mertens now with the conversion attempt. Oh, he's got a good contact this time. That looks good, and it is. And that's just the start that the All Blacks wanted, but it's certainly not what Scotland had intended, to give that man that amount of room so early.
Yes, and sadly it came actually from the breakdown after Craig Chalmers had danced his way through the New Zealand defence. But, you know, gee whiz, Craig Joyner was showing a clean pair of heels there, and the way the big man went.
Brooke takes it outside the... And as we watch Little going over, play has restarted, and inside the New Zealand 22. And a good clearance there by Cotton. Up to the halfway line we come. That's Robin Brooke. Had a calf injury the early part of the tournament, but he's quite fit. Down back by Crone. Now it's out to Joyner, see if he can get his own back, and he has. He's up over the halfway line, up to the 10-metre line, lays it back. In there is Morrison, so too are Cronin and Weir. But there's been an infringement spotted by the tuck judge, and it's Kronfeld who was held responsible for whatever it is.
That's an excellent decision by Derek Bevan, because Craig Chalmers had passed the ball and Kronfeld hit him so late, Chris, it was unbelievable. Good advantage by the referee.
Well, that will have done Craig Joyner no harm either, because he had the opportunity to outwit Jonah Lumo, and he did it. But in the meantime, they'll come back to the halfway line, and Gavin Hastings has rightly decided that he's going to go for goal. This is well within his compass. So Kronfeld there, stupid piece of play, totally unnecessary, and it's given Scotland the chance now to get their first points on the board.
As Kronfeld gets nothing out of 10 here for thinking power, because he's a man that's going to make a big impression in this game anyway, and a daft late tackle like that got him no plus points from anybody, and I'm quite sure his teammates won't be too chuffed with him either.
So Gavin Hastings, 89 points for the tournament. Been in quite magnificent form. And high altitude. He's been kicking prodigious distances. This is such an important kick now to get Scotland back. He's got good contact. It's high enough. It's long enough. It's straight enough, and it's 3 points. Just what Scotland needed to get back after the disappointment and depression, if you like, of that early score from New Zealand. Scotland are back with the 3 points. 7 points to 3 now. The New Zealand lead. And here we can see the incident, perhaps. It's Mertens with the short stabbing kick. The All Blacks are under. Olo Brown, but he has to concede ground. Basham waits. Mertens. That's perhaps not as far as he wanted, but again. And Derek Bevan spotting the off-the-ball play. Again, that may well have been little by going into the back of one of the Scots, but it's given the Scots the opportunity to regroup and attack now, and away they come. And this is the lovely running down the flank by Wainwright. Just not forward there, and given the All Blacks to the put in, but this will be encouraging the Scots now by taking the game to the All Blacks.
And the other thing, Chris, is too, it's getting all these neutral supporters here today backing Scotland.
And there's plenty of them. So the scrum's back. It's held at the back. Basham. 2 Mertens. Over the head of Craig Joyner, but the All Blacks again just showing betraying signs of indiscipline in front of the kicker there. And they've been prone to doing this a little bit, haven't they, Clive?
Yes, they have during the tournament, Chris, and it's amazing that they've given 4 penalties away in the first 10 minutes, and that's total indiscipline by the All Blacks.
Well, it was Joseph who was in front of the kicker there. Mertens had done everything right. It was a beautiful kick, but they'll have to come all the way back, and Gavin Hastings, successful just a few minutes ago, has a chance now to bring the Scots back to within a point. So a very, very vital kick, this for Scotland and for Hastings. And this is just disrupting the All Blacks game plan. They based their game around momentum and driving continuous play, which so far the Scots have been able to disrupt. There's the New Zealand bench in the middle, and Strawn, the scrum half, and here's the man who Scotland are looking to. Again, he's given it a tremendous thump. If it's got the distance, no, it just to the right of the post, but it certainly had the distance. The direction a little bit awry. So the All Blacks now just looking to settle this and themselves down as Mertens prepares to drop out. Difficult ball taken by Hilton. Now away comes Shield. Lays it back for Redpath. And Chalmers with a neat touch there. That's a lovely ball into the corner, and Jeff Wilson couldn't do anything about it, and that set up a marvellous attacking position for Scotland.
That was just sheer aplomb. Craig Chalmers took the ball there. It was thrown back beautifully by Redpath, and he just a wee quick look up into the corner, and he stuck it down there beautifully.
So a good attacking line out. That's how far they are from the All Blacks line. Sean Fitzpatrick, his country's most capped player, well taken there in the middle by Brooke. Bishop waits. Mertens, a huge kick that. What a young player this man is. Quickly taken though by Scotland. To Logan. He's got a lot of chasing to do to take Brooke. That's Zinzan. But out on the full. So the advantage back with Scotland, and certainly early on the All Blacks betraying signs of nervousness themselves. Cronin palms, Hilton takes. Difficult ball for Redpath. He's done well though. Now he gets the support of his forwards. And they're seeking to drive this. And they're doing well. Now it's laid back for Redpath to Chalmers. Chalmers going for the high one, right on Wilson. He's uncomfortable at full-back perhaps. He's unusual, unaccustomed to the position. Beautifully taken. But the Scots come away with it. It's Morrison, it's Hilton. Hilton just couldn't get rid of it fast enough, but he's held it up. Now Redpath waits, out to Chalmers, to Shield. Shield looking for a gap. Oh, he's no way through there. But offside. Oh, high tackle. It was a high tackle. And Little's tackle on Shield. So a penalty in front of the post, and Scotland are coming back.
That was a magnificent steal of the ball off the All Blacks fullback, Jeff Wilson. I mean, he made a magnificent catch, and here's wee Shield. He cuts back inside, totally fearless, and Jamie Joseph, bang. Now that was very high and very dangerous.
I think actually it was the tackle from Little before it that was the high one. As Hastings from in front of the post makes no doubt, and Scotland are right back in this match, 7-6, and they're rattling the All Blacks. It was good tactics from Chalmers to go for Jeff Wilson. He's only played 6 first-class games at fullback, never in an international. And although he took it well, the Scots were swarming it. So a marvellous recovery from that rather disastrous start by the Scots. They're just 1 point behind. As Doddy Weir goes up, can't control it. Taken by Fitzpatrick. Yeah, a knock-on though, and there was no real advantage to New Zealand, so Derek Bevan calling for the scrum. New Zealand took it.
Yes, and just for the people watching at home that may be a bit critical of Doddy Weir dropping that ball, the ball came right down out the sun.
So the scrummage goes down, not straight. No, they'll have to come back. And Derek Bevan coming down onto this Scottish loose head side, just making sure that both front rows are backing straight. There they are. Now quickly taken off the back by Brooke. He lays it back for Basham. Bash up to Lomo. Lomo's taken down this time. I think he almost fell over himself. Up to the 22 they come though. The All Blacks seeking it now. But the Scots have come away with it again. It's through Redpath. There are men over here. It's Shield. Shield has Joyner outside, and now Joyner can run if he doesn't move. He's still going. It's back inside to Gavin Hastings. Hastings kicks. Wilson goes back and desperately has to screw the ball into touch. Tremendous play by Scotland.
Absolutely fantastic play by Scotland, and that all came from, it was definitely a Craig Chalmers tackle and John Olomo just outside Scotland's 22, and it's fabulous to see Scotland being so full of energy
and so positive. And I think John Olomo could hardly believe it, that someone actually had the audacity to tackle him. But what courage, and what a superbly accurate tackle by Chalmers, and it set up this position for Scotland. This is a tremendous contest, with Scotland having the better of it so far. It's taken at the front by Scotland. Redpath waits if they can get it clear now. It comes for Redpath to Chalmers to Shield. Shield. Scotland brought down in midfield, but they still have possession. Redpath just waiting for it, looking for Chalmers perhaps for the drop goal, but Chalmers deciding to run. There's not very much support there though. A little bit slow in setting off, but Scotland have still worked it back. And offside. Oh, and the All Blacks have been, now there's a chance for Scotland if they go for the quick one. They're certainly not back than 5 and 10 metres, but still Scotland come at them. It's helter-skelter. Right is held up, just short of the line. Well, I wonder, Gordon, if Scotland will regret just not calming things down and going for the easy 3 points.
Well, certainly the referee has given Scotland the putting in the scrum, but personally speaking, I would have been much happier if Scotland had just calmed things down, stuck the ball between the posts and taken the lead.
But Clive, I'm just wondering, they took the quick penalty and the All Blacks weren't back.
Yes, in that situation, as long as you retire in, Chris, you're making the attempt to go back. Once the Scots had run 5 metres, they then put the All Blacks back on side. But have we ever seen an All Black side under such rattle pressure at the start of a game? This is absolutely amazing play by Scotland.
And I'll tell you something else, Clive, I would love to see the tackle that put Scott Hastings down over in the far corner there, because for me it was a very high one.
Well, Scott Hastings is back. He's obviously taken a high tackle up there, but here we can see it was a joint tackle again. Well, I think perhaps he'll get away with that, but it just shows the Scots' determination to run and to take the game to the All Blacks, which I think is taking them by surprise.
Yes, it's great, isn't it?
And everything we've heard about Lomo in attack, we're starting to look at his defence, Chris, because they went past him as if he wasn't there in that attack.
Well, Craig Joyner, who had the most testing of starts and who was left for dead by Lomo in the early stages, has got back at him twice now, and that'll give this young man huge confidence. The injury at the moment looks reasonably serious, and I think it might be to Craig Chalmers, is it? I think it's Chalmers who's taken a knock, and he's taken a lot of pounding, and he's been running at the defence very bravely, and also it's taken a lot of the attention of the New Zealand back row on him, and he's all right, and that's very important for Scotland. So this scrummage goes down just 5 metres short of the line. It's Scotland's put in. Now Derek Bevan showing such authority early on. Held at the back, away goes Redpath, a long pass out for Hastings. Hastings well taken though, but the Scots are back row in there. There's Peters, the Scots desperately trying to get it, but away come New Zealand. Here comes Joseph, out to Mark Ellis. Mark Ellis finds that there's nobody behind, but Kenny Logan had done well to come across. He's now going to try and get round Mark Ellis, but Ellis is fast. And that's a very difficult ball for Scotland to try and clear up. In fact, it's taken by Fitzpatrick. This could be difficult for Scotland because Brooke is making the extra man. Up to the halfway line and over he comes, lays it back, but there's been offside, is it, against Scotland? Yes, offside against Scotland.
Yes, Chris, that was magnificent defence there by the All Blacks when Gavin Hastings came in and took that ball going full tilt to the line, and they not only knocked him back the way, they took the ball off him and then were able to clear the ball away down, and of course now they have a penalty from literally nowhere.
always so dangerous with the All Blacks, always ready to counter and can do it in numbers. But that was the crucial moment when Hastings had possession, Scotland had possession so close to the line, and you can't afford any laxness there. So it's a straight penalty, but it's a long way out for Andrew Mertens. He's got a marvellous contact to it, but another escape for Scotland. And so it'll be a dropout. That is Craig Dowd on the New Zealand replacements bench, and Craig Chalmers gone for the dropout on the far side, but he's overcooked it this time. And New Zealand are certain to want to scrummage it. Don't quite know what Wilson thought he was going to do there, but there's the Scottish front row. Hilton on this loose head side. Kenny Milne, Scotland's second most capped hooker, behind Colin Deans in the middle. And this Scottish side throughout this tournament certainly played right up to its potential. But this is a difficult situation for them now. It's held. Now away comes Britain. Out to Wilson. Wilson took his eye off the ball. There's a chance here for a Scottish counter, but two knock-ons. The first one was by Wilson, who just come in to make the extra man, but took his eye off the ball. So Craig Chalmers, I think it is, who was in trouble a few minutes ago, doesn't look as if he's got it all together. So now we can look here at the tackle perhaps on Craig Chalmers. It looked to me as if that was a vicious right arm by Jamie Joseph, but that was what I think did the damage to Craig Chalmers in the first instance. But it looked a pretty high tackle to me on Chalmers, but he's all right now, or he's certainly not going to go off, let's put it that way. So the Scots have the put in and they have the penalty. And Derek Bevan saying that the Olo Brown was pulling down on that tight head side. So Gavin Hastings with a good kick to touch, and that's taken the Scots back inside the New Zealand.
Well, that'll certainly lift the Scottish forwards because they were under colossal pressure there, and you can see Olo Brown pulling down there, and the referees have already spoken to him twice about that in the game.
Well, he was the man. Up there goes Weir, through comes Cronin, away comes Milne. But through too quickly for the Scots. The crowd cheering that dash by Doddy Weir, but it was all in vain. Cronin so quickly through, but rather too quickly for the referee's line.
Yes, I don't think Damien Cronin is that quick, Chris.
He's taken off a lot of weight, mind you, Clive, but perhaps not quite that swift. Here we can see it again.
You can also see Cronin there couldn't get to the ball, because for me, Clive, I thought the All Blacks were across the line before the ball was touched.
Anyway, it's presented Andrew Mertens with another opportunity, certainly shown that he has the posts even from inside his own half, which he is within his range. He's just had a little bit of trouble with his direction this afternoon. 22 years of age, without doubt the find of the tournament. He's given it another massive thump, but this is way off to the right this time. So these chances are going a-begging. The Scots still very much in the match, and we've seen from New Zealand in discipline that they've got them rattled. So it's going to be Graham Shield now dropping out, because Chalmers so straight to Zinzanbury. Not a good one. Robin Brooke, laid back for Basham. Joseph couldn't control it. Now away come the Scots through Kenny Milne to Rob Wainwright. Wainwright out to Scott Hastings. The Scots quickly in, trying to work it back. They've got it. Redpath has it to Chalmers. Chalmers over the head of Mark Ellis. Another very testing kick and another very effective one from Chalmers. Well, he may have a knock in the head and he may be a bit concussed, but it hasn't spoilt his line kicking.
Yes, and again that came from Scott Hastings having the guts to take on his opposite man, standing on his feet. The Scottish back row got there, they won the ball back, and then bang, back down here in the All Blacks, just outside their own 22.
Well, Zinzan Brooke there in the middle of that New Zealand back row. He won't be happy at all because, as you say, the Scots loose forwards are getting there first. Brooke got first to that. Now Mertens. Straight to Gavin Hastings. He went for the football trap, but it escaped him. He's still got time there. And he thumps it mightily up to the New Zealand line to Jeff Wilson. That's come off the side of his boot. Shield, well taken by him. He's trying to find space. Only as far as Ellis. There are not many gaps around this field. That's to Hastings. Now the crowd want Hastings to do something with it. Up in the air it goes. That's a good-looking kick. Outside the 22, Brooke. He takes it well with his brother in support. Back for Bashop. That's only as far as Kenny Lowe. And I think that's gone into touch in the full and a most indeterminate passage of play. We can go now to Ken McRobb on the touchline, who has, I think, news of Craig Chalmers' injury.
Well, the news from the Scottish medical team is that Craig Chalmers is still suffering the effects of that knock to his head, but he's quite determined to stay on the field, and they're quite happy that he does, in the hope that he'll recover quickly.
Well, it's the New Zealanders who've recovered from that line out. They're laying it back for Bashop. Bashop to Joseph. Joseph hands off Ian Morrison. No advantage, though. There'd been a knock-on, so it was a deliberate knock-on, so it'll be a free kick to New Zealand. So Scotland must hope that Craig Chalmers manages to clear his head, and Ollo Brown coming charging through the middle of that short penalty move. Mertens acting as the scrum half to Wilson. Wilson loves to run. He's got support, or he had it from Kronfeld. It's Brooke who holds it up for Richard Lowe. This is dangerous position. Bashop, there's men out to Lomu. Lomu goes again at Joyner, and it's Lomu over in the corner. Well, how do you stop this man? He's touched it twice, and twice the All Blacks have scored.
Yes, I mean, it's when he takes the ball, Chris, and he has this automatic swing of the hips that takes him away outside the tackler. And you can see the ball coming out here. He's got a fair bit of room, and that's the last thing that any Scots defender wants to give him. And of course, over he goes in the corner.
Well, double bad news for Scotland, because as Lomu touched down, Craig Chalmers has gone down once again, and it looks only really a matter of time before he has to come off the field. But this is the man of the moment, this one of the men of the tournament without any doubt, Jonah Lomu.
There's almost a case, you know, for the Scots boys to be on beyond the offside line to try and make sure that they try and close down Jonah Lomu getting the ball. But I don't envy Craig Joyner.
Well, it's a measure, I suppose, of how well Scotland had played up till that point, that Lomu was restricted to only 2 touches of the ball, but the damage he's done with those 2 touches. So Mertens certainly not been the best day with his kicking. Again, he's got good contact, and that's a much better kick. And that will have delighted the New Zealand supporters, and certainly given this young man Mertens confidence. And there's Craig Chalmers. I don't think he's going to come off. He's got a bash in the head, he's got a knock in the leg, but he's still going, and so is Lomu. It's going to take something very special to stop this young man. The youngest All Black ever to be picked for an international, the heaviest and the fastest member of the side. What more do you want? So Shield in the absence of Chalmers to restart. That's a lovely hanging kick for Doddy Weir, taken by Zinzan Brooke. And the Scots coming in on the wrong side. Eric Peters, I think, was the man coming in there on the wrong side. So Mertens with the touch finder. If he has found it, he hasn't. It's taken by Gavin Hastings. Hastings looking for a moment for support there, but then was tempted to a poor kick. Taken by Brook. Here's Lomu. Oh, he's still going. Lomu again. He's still going. Up to the 10-metre line. Laid back beautifully. And away comes Fitzpatrick. This is where the All Blacks are so dangerous. They haven't got that, and the reason was that the Scots have piled over and prevented them, and they've talked back to the referee, and that's totally senseless.
Yes, and that all came from Gavin Hastings being caught there in two minds. When he fielded the big punt, he came out the park, and he wasn't sure whether to put up the up and under, or whether to kick very deep, or what to do, and of course, we saw the end product.
I think that he thought he might have got support. He thought he looked to run it first of all, and then his kick was his clearance was a very scrappy one, and it set up that situation from which Lomu once again has set up this penalty attempt by Andrew Mertens. Mertens, who created the world record with 28 points on his international debut until that was overtaken by his teammate Simon Culhane last week against Japan. He's got another good contact, and that's another 3 points, and New Zealand suddenly have stretched their lead to 17 points to 6.
Clive, can you maybe explain to me why the referee penalised the Scottish number 8 there? Was he not just trying to clear the ball away?
I think he was actually preventing Sean Fitzpatrick, who had been tackled, from releasing Gordon, and that's why Derek Bevan actually gave the penalty against Scotland.
So Shield, it's another pinpoint kick, but well taken there by the All Blacks. They're so good at these set positions. Bashop, not much that Mertens could have done there. Now, what's Hastings going to do there? Deciding on the safety first approach. Toolitz. Not awfully sure if that's what he intended, but whatever it is, it's found touch.
The Scottish forwards now, Chris, have got to get back into this game. They've got to up their tempo and take the game right back deep into the All Blacks 22.
Well, they had the formula there at the back with the headgear is Kronfeld, who's really been quite quiet. Cronin comes away now. A good charge by him. The Scots pile in. Redpath has it. To Gavin Hastings. There's absolutely no way through there, but he's still got possession. He's lost it now. And away now come the All Blacks. Little, Bunce, Bashop, Lomu. Lomu lumbers up to the halfway line. Someone's managed to get him down this time, though. Ian Jones. Handling on the ground, was it? No. The Scots have got a penalty. I thought I saw the All Blacks perhaps working it back on the ground. And that was what they were penalised for. Sean Fitzpatrick, the most capped New Zealander.
Well, Chris, you got it dead right there. Forced John Alomo back inside, and when the whole Scottish pack are there, somebody has to get him, and thankfully that's what happened.
The problem is, of course, that with about 3 or 4 players tied into Lomo, it leaves a lot of space round about for the runners off him, and that will be one of the All Blacks tactics, I suspect, in the succeeding matches if they get through. He is such a dangerous man, even on the decoy. But now Hastings with another huge kick right from, that's the halfway line. But it's another mighty important one if Scotland are to stay in touch. Well, he's given that a huge thump, but it was never on line. And so it's Wilson behind his goal line, who touches down, and the score remains at 17-6 in favour of New Zealand. Mertens just keeping things cool, making sure that he's got enough room, set his forwards up, but that was taken by Peters. He had no support though, and the Scots a little bit slow to get back to that. The touch judge though coming in to have a word with Derek Bevan. And a penalty against that, I guess, for an unfair charge on Eric Peters.
Yes, you were allowed to make a shoulder charge on an opponent holding the ball, as long as it's shoulder to shoulder. I think in that situation, the player caught the ball over his head and the shoulder went straight down his chest. And Clayton Thomas, the Welsh touch judge, as we can see here, there's the man catching the ball up in the air. And what does Ian Jones do? Oh, yeah, straight down. And I think Clayton Thomas, the Welsh touch judge, was perfectly correct coming in on that occasion.
I did think, though, that the Scots were a little bit slow in coming round and giving support to Peters. The ball was hanging for a long time there, and they were just a little bit sluggish in coming round and giving him some support. But he's all right, and it's presented now Gavin Hastings with another penalty. This one a little bit more difficult than the last, in that there's a more testing angle for him, and it's right on the halfway line.
I'm sure, Chris, that ball hanging that wee bit extra time in mid-air gave Eric Peters heart failure. It certainly gave me heart failure nearly.
Well, silence now for Gavin Hastings. As we come up to half-time, this really would be a tremendous blow if he can get it. He kicked it long enough, and it's a marvellous kick. Well, that's a superb strike from the Scottish captain, just what his team were wanting from him at just the right time, and the Scots are still in there.
Yes, Chris, and I'll tell you, it's good reward for the Scottish players, because the difference in points prior to that penalty conversion by Gavin, it flattered the All Blacks.
So 98 points for the tournament for Gavin Hastings as the All Blacks come, but back comes Scotland through Eric Peters. Good control for Redpath. Shield. Now it's Logan. Logan well taken though by Mark Ellis. The Scots across though, and Cronin's trying to work it back. The All Blacks have it. Bishop. Mertens on the halfway. Offside. The Scots offside there.
I think they were taking Gordon's advice there, Chris, and were well up offside beyond the last foot in that ruck.
That's Ian Morrison, and the Scottish back row been working extremely well in tandem this afternoon, and really to the extent that we haven't seen all that much of their opposite number, certainly not the black hooded assassin Kronfeld. He's been very quiet. With that one too, so this is not Merton's day, and the Scots can take heart perhaps from that. We are now into injury time, and that lead still 17 points to none. So Shield, Zinzandro, Dasher to Joseph, taken by Morrison. Kronfeld has it. Oh, offside there. Scots coming quickly through and over on the top. Bishop wants to take the quickie. So that's twice now the Scots have been forced into infringements. And there's an injury to one of the Scots. I think it may well be Peter Wright, is it? Yes, Peter Wright, who actually came into this match with a dodgy shoulder.
Yes, Peter Wright has been in the wars in the whole of this World Cup. He's been very combative And I'm quite sure that the performances he's given Scotland in this World Cup and in the Five Nations prior to the World Cup, he has shut up quite a few people who have been very critical of him over the past couple of seasons. He's having a smashing World Cup.
Yeah, there he is, number 3. Mertens from almost the exact position that he missed it just a few seconds ago. Daring to look. And Mertens almost the same position as the last one, and another miss. So the Scots let off once again. The score remains the same. We're into injury time, and that is the half-time whistle. And so Scotland, having played so well for so much of the time, have had to concede 2 tries, and that's the man who's done the danger. He scored one of them, and he set up the try for Walter Little. The All Blacks leading at half-time by 17 points to none.
Welcome back. 3/4 of the way through a fabulous afternoon of rugby. Earlier today, England beat Australia in Cape Town by 25 points to 22. Scotland against New Zealand has just restarted. Scotland 9, New Zealand 17. Your commentator, Chris Ray.
And the All Blacks have it. Mertens, hanging kick. Underneath it is Gavin Hastings. Up there is Bunce. It's come though for Little. Walter Little's going straight for the line for his second try. And what a terrible start for Scotland. And it was Walter Little profiting from that beautifully accurate kick from Mertens. The Scots couldn't control it, and Walter Little from Bunce was in there for the try.
Well, we've seen the dangers of these huge up and unders from the Southern Hemisphere sides. Earlier this afternoon we saw Smiths go for Australia, and again a very big kick by Mertens. Gavin must jump for this ball because he's got to try to take it, but he doesn't, and Walter Little's on it, and he won't score a simpler try at international level.
And it was Bunce, his centre partner, who was in there to do the spoiling work, and just to take the Scottish defence off balance. And right away the All Blacks have struck. So Mertens, whose kicking deserted him in the first half, has started the second half in much better fashion with the goal points, and so the All Blacks have gone 24 points to 9 ahead. The bad news for Scotland is not only that, but Craig Chalmers, their fly half, has also gone off the field, and Ken Robb, I think, has news of what the injury is.
It's Craig Chalmers' right thigh that's causing the problem, not the head knock he had earlier. He's gone back up to the dressing room to get treatment from Donald McLeod, the Scotland doctor. In the meantime, Ian Jordan has taken his place. Whether that becomes permanent, we'll have to wait and see.
Well, it was always likely. There is the replacement, Ian Jordan from Stirling County, but Chalmers had been in the wars a number of times, and he certainly seemed to be the worse for wear as the half grew on. That was Zinzan Brook with the kick to touch, and the Scots have cut their line. Jardine there taking his place in the centre. There's the line out at the back there. Wainwright, there is Cronin, but the All Blacks have won it. It's fallen for them. Jamie Joseph, he can't control it. Now Kenny Logan. Brooks underneath it. And now away comes Wilson. It's Culhane on the far side. It's Culhane going all the way down. It's Mertens who's got it. Mertens, what I'm talking about. It's Mertens who have got it. And it was Mertens who ran the whole way to score. An extraordinary score. I was so taken aback there. It was Andrew Mertens who came in there.
Well, it's a terrible blow for Scotland, but Mertens picked that ball up of his shoelaces, and off he went there at 100 miles an hour. I mean, he showed an incredible burst of pace to get him outside Gavin Hastings' despairing dive. And you know, Chris, you can see the speed coming down here, and I do have sympathy for you, because Culhane had the ball in his hands all afternoon that day against Japan.
Well, I've got those two mixed up, but anyway, my apologies, but it was Mertens with a quite astonishing run, and it's just broken the Scots, because Little was across in the first minute, and now Mertens has done that. And he's got this opportunity now to add the goal points. He's got a good contact, and it's there, and he was in such trouble with his kicking, Mertens, in the first half, but he's rectifying it now, and that has surely put the All Blacks now in an unassailable position. Once again, it came from a high ball and the inability of the Scots to control it, and it was Mertens past that despairing tackle and all the way past Gavin Hastings' tackle, and he was in for the try. So the Scots must somehow now try and regroup and fight their way back, but they're 31 points to 9 down, and it's hardly a reflection on the run of play. But they've got a line out now in a good attacking position. Kenny Mill, up there goes Cronin, in the middle of the line out. Good control by the Scots. 5 metres out, they're still going. They're brought down. They're still going, and they've got the try. They've over for the try, and it's Doddy Weir. It's Doddy Weir who is in the middle of that maul, so right away the Scots have come back with a try that they surely deserve.
And not for the first time in this World Cup, we've seen the All Blacks' weakness at stopping driving mauls. The All Blacks of old would have had no trouble stopping that, but on that occasion, good low drive, and Derek Bevan is perfectly correct. Doddy Weir was not held in any sort of tackle, and he's allowed to place the ball over the line for the try.
So his first try in the tournament, his second try for Scotland, and seemingly out of the game a few minutes ago. Well, the Scots have come back with that try, which has given Hastings the chance. It's not too difficult a one. He's had most of his kicking to do from far out today. So the Scots given an early chance perhaps to get Hastings. He's got it, it's good, and so Scotland have almost repaired some of the damage that's hit them in this second half, with tries by Little and Mertens, and now that try by Doddy Weir, all coming from Cronin's good line out, taking the drive. And we can go back, I think, to Ken McRobb for more news of Chalmers.
Well, Scotland won't have Craig Chalmers back with them to help in the fight back. He's taken his place now in the stand. The dead leg he suffered early has completely seized up, so that's the end of it for him today.
So it's the end of him, and away comes Mertens again to Kronfeld. Kronfeld held on that far touch line. The All Blacks pile in now. It's back for Bishop. Bishop to Mertens. Mertens coming more and more into the game. To Bunce. Bunce weaving his way past. Oh, very poor tackling by the Scots. And it's a try for Frank Bunce, but really the Scottish defence must be held at fault there. An easy try for Frank Bunce, a powerful man on the run, but really he wouldn't have expected to get through a well-organised defence.
No, as the ball comes out here, I mean, Bunce has got a lot to do when he gets the ball. And of course there's 3-4 Scotsmen there all round about him, and not one of them lays a finger on him. I must say Lomo was just behind him, and I think that a lot of the Scottish defenders were actually watching for Lomo getting the ball from Bunce.
Well, it's something as Mertens kicks the goal points again, having had such an awful first half with his kicking. He's of course kicking everything in the second. There's the try scorer, but of course, as we mentioned earlier, the great danger of Lomu is that opposition will concentrate on him, and there was the gap that opened up for him. Redpath couldn't get him, Shield couldn't get him, and neither eventually could Kenny Logan, and it was Bunce with the All Blacks try. So 38 points to 16 And suddenly, the All Blacks are heading for a big score. Basham, so quick with these hands in that pass. To Mertens. There is Craig Chalmers sadly watching. He's not going to take any further part in this game, and one suspects in the tournament, because it's looking now very much as if it's going to be New Zealand's day. 38 points to 16 as Kenny Milne prepares to throw.
Yes, Christian, I'm really disappointed for Craig, because he looked as if he was on form today and we were going to get the game of his life from him today.
He certainly was taking a lot on himself and took a lot of punishment as a result. That's bad ball for Little. He's back though with it, and he's looked so sharp. Kronfeld in support, taken by Morrison. Now Wainwright has it. The Scots drive, they've won a good ruck. Shield in the standoff position to Jardine. The link with Logan. In there is Peters. Peters carries it on. The Scots drive up, but they're held out now. Redpath, away comes Shield again, sensing a gap behind Lomu. Nice little chip. And there is still a question mark, of course, about Lomu's defensive positioning. Not that he's seen very much in defence, but he just had to come in a little bit there, and Shield, who's already played as a replacement at fly half for Scotland, so he knows the business and has often played in the position, had just seen Lomu coming a little bit in off his wing and found a good touch. So Sean Fitzpatrick as Derek Bevan making sure that there's a gap between the two. Up there goes Ian Jones, won his first cap against Scotland in 1990. The All Blacks gather in round him, push up to the 22, well controlled. Basham waits. So does Hilton, number 1 for Scotland. Mertens sends a lovely spiralling kick into touch, and this man Mertens really is quite a remarkable find. They've tried player after player in succession to Grant Fox. None of them has worked until this young man, 22 years of age, has come through almost at the last gasp. There's Jones, 1990, his debut against Scotland, and he scored a try on that occasion. Been one of the finest lock forwards in world rugby ever since. Up there goes Brooke, his partner. The mighty pass to Little. Little, another long pass to Ellis, giving him plenty of room. Ellis kicked too far ahead, taken easily by Hastings. Ellis, but it's Hastings now, trying to go for a quick breakout. Taken by Mertens. He has Lomu in support. Not going to get past Joyner. And away comes Shield. Shield almost got that ball away to Wainwright. Wainwright almost got the ball away as well. And the All Blacks now tempted into indiscretions behind their own defence. But there'd been a knock forward, and it'll be a New Zealand booty.
Yes, Chris, these are just wee glimpses of the ball and wee opportunities that Scotland must take.
Well, they have played with great spirit throughout this tournament. They've played certainly up to their potential, and looking at the scoreboard, it's perhaps not a fair reflection on the play, but this is the danger of the All Blacks. Mertens decides to go for the long one, straight to Hastings. Now, he hasn't got much support behind him, and there was not very much else he could have done, but that was done quite beautifully. And it set the Scots up in another attacking position.
Well, Scotland have to get a try very, very quickly to lift every single one of the boys in that team. There's one or two of the forwards just now need a real burst of adrenaline through their system. And the one thing that's disappointed me recently is the fact that Scotland has lost our own throw-in at the line-out in the last 2 occasions.
This one going to the All Blacks inside their 22. That's Brooke at the front, and it's Brooke up. His fitness has been crucial to the All Blacks. Such a good worker in the line-out. Basham with the kick. Underneath it is Logan. Logan waits. Taken though as he was in the air, and Ellis appealing, but there's absolutely no appeal there. When you're in the air, you cannot tackle the player, the fielding player. So that's given Hastings a chance, and at this early stage in the half, he's deciding to go for the points. And there you see, off the ground, Ellis went for him, and that's against the law.
Yes, Ellis was the young fellow that got, was it 5 or 6 tries against the Japanese in midweek?
He got 6 tries against Japan. He's got 11 tries, believe it or not, in his 7 internationals so far. Not a bad strike rate. And he was the man, of course, that played against Scotland in '93, won his first cap. He was then a fly half. This is the Scottish captain, who's won every honour in the game, except, of course, a World Cup final, but that's looking a pretty distant prospect, looking at that scoreline. They've got to take the points on offer, and these are 3 of them if he can get it. It's a long kick. He struck it beautifully. It's long, it's straight, not straight, unfortunately, far enough, and just off target. He's certainly getting the distance. So Mertens now in no hurry to restart. Brooke was through, couldn't control it. The referee waiting to see if there's advantage to Scotland. Wainwright is in there, and away comes Scotland. But no advantage. So it'll be a scrummage down from that to knock on by Robin Brooke. So Scotland, never having beaten the All Blacks, they've drawn twice. They've won this. Away comes Cronin. Now this is a good driving maul by the Scots up to the 22. They still have it laid back for Redpath. Redpath trying to find Shield. In comes Gavin Hastings. And the touch judges just quickly coming in to diffuse any possible eruption, the like of which we had last week between Canada and the Springboks. That is Jamie Joseph. A few short fuses down there, so the referee quick to spot. Quickly taken by Zinzan Brooke. Takes Shields' tackle. Now away comes Lomu, trying to bring him into the game as much as possible, just to cause that dent, to tie in a few more tacklers. Away comes Little, away comes Bunce. Bunce has Ellis outside him. Bunce is still going. He cuts inside to Ellis. Ellis is taken by Wainwright and by Logan. Now it's laid back for the All Blacks. Little to Cronfeld. The mighty pass into Jeff Wilson. Wilson again takes his eye off the ball. That's the second time he's done that, and he's not going to escape.
Well, what a let-off that was for Scotland, that young Wilson dropped that ball, because if he'd passed it on, one more pass through Jamie Joseph, and Lomu was standing just waiting to have a go there. And I'll tell you what, Joyner was about 15 yards away from him. So my heart was in my mouth here as the ball came out.
That's the Scottish front row. Peter Wright on this side. Kenny Milne just evening them up, getting the spirit level out. That's a fearsome All Black push, but the All Blacks haven't managed to disrupt the Scots to that extent, and away comes Joyner. Well, links up with Morrison. Morrison up to the halfway line. The Scots drive in, pile over. Away comes Cronin trying to take it on, and he does. Now it's laid back for Redpath. Redpath to Shield. Shield has men outside him. Jardine. Out now to Gavin Hastings, trying to link up with Joyner, but it was all just a little bit tight, requiring a degree of accuracy that the Scots just didn't quite have. And Hastings taken in that tackle, a little bit winded. The crowd don't like it. It may well have been a late tackle on Hastings, was it? I certainly didn't see it if it was.
No, I think it was marginal at the end of the day. I mean, when you're 18.5 stone, Chris, you're certainly going to make an impression on the player. Gavin Hastings tried to put a man and ball together, and that's a fair tackle. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
So Lomu was the man. A mighty force in both attack and defence. Number 2 is Fitzpatrick, that's Ian Jones. And up there goes Joseph. Now it's Little. Little, sharp during this tournament. Laid back for Basham. Now to Mertens, and again he's found room. He can kick, he can run, he can pass. And he's laid it back now for Basham to Lomu. Lomu with that almost languid running style lumbers into midfield, and he still makes ground. makes a couple of dents, and the All Blacks have won a penalty. The Scots going to ground. Well, it's handling in the ruck from the Scots. Quickly taken by Basham. Mertens. Now his forwards must love him. He couldn't get his pass away that occasion. Now it's to Joyner. Joyner spotted a gap. A big gap as it turns out, and a very favourable bounce for the Scots. So Craig Joyner has given heart to the Scottish forwards and worked them up into the All Blacks 22. This young man with a big future, the Scottish school's sprinter of some note, so he can move. There's an injury though to one of the All Blacks in the meantime.
Yes, that would do Craig Joyner's confidence no harm at all. He's really played well in this game, Chris, considering the terrible instance of him having to face up to John Alomo earlier in the game.
The injured player is Kronfeld, and he is certainly, along with Lomu, has been another huge find and a huge plus for the All Blacks. They had never been able to replace Michael Jones. Well, who can? But they've come as close as any side in any country can do it with this man, because he is a thoroughly impressive young player. He's fast, physical, and he's made a big impact so far.
Good refereeing by Derek Bevan. He's gone to check that Kronfeld's okay, and he's obviously getting a breather himself by telling Kronfeld, walk slowly with me back to that line out.
Well, he's now back in position, Derek Bevan. A referee of great authority whom the players respect, and this again has been a game that's been mercifully free of any nastiness. Brook goes up there beautifully. Now Mertens, left, right-footed. Doesn't really matter to this young man. He's remarkably confident, and they say in the changing room, very relaxed. Now it's Wainwright comes away, trying to link up with Jardine, only as far as Little. Little's through on anything loose, and away now come the All Blacks once again. They've got Basham into Olo Brown. Olo Brown has support from Bunce. There too is Robin Brook. Robin Brook in support has Jamie Joseph, and it's Zinzan Brook inside to Eric Peters, though. Eric Peters trying to come away with it, and just how dangerous the All Blacks can be on the counter.
Well, that must be one of the passes of the tournament from Olo Brown. Who would suspect that a prop forward could take and give in one pass? I certainly couldn't think of any other forward, and certainly not the big Scottish second row sitting next to me doing it.
Listen, I hear that he's actually claiming that he's a relation of mine.
There's not a lot of backs, I may say, who could pass with the speed of Olo Brown, so you're in good company there.
You know, it was a shame there, though, that when Scotland won the ball at the back of the line off Wainwright, that he didn't just keep the ball and drive deep into the All Blacks 22, because the Scottish forwards were pouring round in defence. But instead, of course, he tried this loose tap back, and of course it was just fodder for the All Blacks.
That's Zinzan Brook repaired, and a scrummage down on the 22. Basham with the feed. Good controlled scrummaging that from the Blacks. Mertens weaving out to Wilson. Wilson has Ellis. This is dangerous play. They're going at helter-skelter pace, the All Blacks, but a terrific tackle there on Ellis, as the All Blacks come piling in now, a little bit slowly. Basham waits. Now away come the All Blacks again. Out to Lomu. Lomu has Sean Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick going for the line. Nothing's going to stop him. And Fitzpatrick, the All Black skipper, is over in the wing position for the try.
Hey, that's a glorious try by Sean Fitzpatrick. He's a cheeky thing when standing out here in the wing. He seems to be taking a leaf out of the Australians' book. But when the ball comes out here, Lomu was lurking away, and I honestly thought that he would get the ball. But of course, he was actually very well tackled by Peter Wright, although the pass had been given. And look at that burst of speed to take him outside Ian Jardine. Well done, Sean Fitzpatrick. He'll be delighted with that one.
Well, he was standing out in the wing. He really fancied his chance. That's his 9th try for the All Blacks, as Damien Cronin comes off the field. And the replacement standing by is Stuart Campbell from Dundee High School FP, and just waiting to make sure that he can come on, and he comes on now. So Campbell comes on as the replacement for Damien Cronin. as Mertens lines up now. And the remarkable thing is that the Scots, without playing all that badly, are now completely out of this game at 43 points to 16 down. Mertens measured in all that he does. Oh, he's kicking beautifully now. That's straight between the posts. And having had a few blips in the first half, he's coming in now with 20 points for the match. And here it was Frank Bunce who made the initial dent, getting in behind the defence, and Lomu very wisely and very unselfishly giving Fitzpatrick the chance to run. Now Mertens, a huge kick. Hastings has no support, can do very little else. But find a good touch on the halfway.
Well, just now, Chris, Scotland are out the World Cup. This is now Gavin Hastings. We're watching him performing his last international. The Scots boys now must try and do something. We're out the World Cup, but we want to go down gloriously.
Well, the new man on, Stuart Campbell, taking his place in the second row. Won by New Zealand. Pass for little linking up with Lomu, who's off again. Away he comes. There are about 5 Scots trying to grab hold of him, and he's still going, but he's brought down now, and the Scots have regrouped and come back. Away comes Redpath. There's room for Joyner. Joyner, the kick behind Jeff Wilson. It's a chase now, and the ball beats them all, and once again Joyner gives great relief to his forwards and takes the Scots up to the New Zealand line.
And of course, John Olomo that was brought down there by Gavin Hastings, and Gavin really took quite a bump. It was a smashing, very brave tackle by Big Gav.
Well, it's devastation that this man Olomo causes. But in the meantime, play goes on, right up on the All Blacks line. Well taken again, though, by Brooke at the front. Basham can't get his kick away, and away comes Scotland. Doddy Weir up to the line. Has Weir got his second try? It could well be for Scotland. The try's been given. And it's Weir again. Well, it was Weir who was in there to profit from a rare mistake by Basham. And he was so quick. He's agile and so athletic for a second row. And look how quick the Scots were in there. It fell for him, and he just drove. He saw nothing but the All Blacks line, and the Scots were in there to support him, and that's his second try.
Yes, Hilton there was round, and he certainly closed down the New Zealand scrum half batch up very quickly. Gavin's got a sore lip. But you know, there's what, 14 minutes to go? I'm not a great believer in fairy tales, but I've got to say, you know, at the moment we're definitely out of this World Cup, but you know, you just never know what's going to happen.
No, I'd agree with that. Gordon, Scotland are definitely out of the World Cup. There's no way that they're going to recover 24 points against New Zealand's side. But England certainly, after they recover from their celebrations today, will take heart from their Scottish performance. If they've got to face New Zealand, and New Zealand play in the same sort of lacklustre way that they played today, then England will fancy their chances next weekend.
So Gavin Hastings with this conversion attempt, and he's done it, and he's over the 100 marks now, 100-point mark now for the tournament. And so that's consolation of sorts for Hastings and for Scotland. They certainly haven't given up on this. And Doddy Weir, the second of his tries. And there was Basham spoiled there by Hilton, coming round quickly, and it was from that Weir got the try. So Mertens, perfectly judged kick for Brooke, but in there again is Weir. Redpath, Shield, beautifully beats Brooke, And that's another very favourable bounce for Scotland. And well done to Scotland in that they were out of this game. They were blown away by these early tries, and they've kept at it, and they've come back, and they've got another good attacking position, and that was a fine kick by Graham Shield in the fly half position for Craig Chalmers. So there's the man that the New Zealanders could do without at the moment, Shield. Steve Schwetty, that is, the Minister for Sport. And away come the Scots again. Shield looking for the gap. He's found it. He's taken by Lomu. Was it high? Well, the Scots are still going on. They're piling up to the line. Now if they can work it back, Redpath has room. Away comes Logan. Logan tries to cut inside. He's held. The Scots are in behind him now, trying to redrive up to the line. That is the line you see. Just behind Bishop, who has the ball. And there's a huge gap behind Craig Joyner. Joyner has to come all the way back. And such quick thinking by Bishop. He knew that there was a massive gap there because all the Scots had come up in attack.
Well, great sadness for us, all Scots supporters there. That was a choice ball for Scotland to win. Right under the posts. We had 6 men outside on the left-hand side screaming for the ball. And of course we lost it.
So inside the Scottish half now, having been so close to the All Blacks line. Up there goes Weir. He's worked so hard and so effectively in the middle of that line out for Scotland. Up now to the halfway line to Shield. Shield to Jardine. Jardine the long pass out to Logan. It was an awful ball for him, and away now comes Jeff Wilson, who's having real problems with his handling. He's juggled a few this afternoon, and for a cricketer with the adhesive hands that he has, having played in a one-day international for New Zealand, not the sort of thing we expect from him. He actually says that he prefers playing a full-back today, but he's not looked all that comfortable. So it's a scrummage down. Bishop, Zinzanbrook links with Bishop to Wilson again. Wilson out to Mark Ellis. He's a tricky runner, Ellis. Has support from Kronfeld and Zinzanbrook. Now it's back for Bishop. Mertens, the mighty pass to Lomu. Lomu's off again. Here he goes. What a terrible sight for Scotland. He's still going, but Joyner had stuck with him well on this occasion. The ball's still not out as it is now. But it takes so many men to get Lomu down, although the Scots stuck to their task on that occasion.
Well, good on you, Craig Joyner. He swung the hips, he went away outside him, and wee Craig just dropped a gear and brought him down.
5 metres out from the Scottish line. Robin Brooke there. He goes high, but the ball not 5 metres. So it's a free kick to Scotland. Ball bounced favourably there for Scotland. They have control of this. Redpath, Shield, Kronfeld bearing down on him. But there's Wilson. And what's Wilson going to do? He's linked up with his support now. He's got support. Deciding though to kick instead. Redpath waits. Redpath had taken his eye off that. He's had a good tournament though, Craig Redpath. Quickly taken. Brooke has it. Played back for Bishop. To Zinzan. To Joseph. Kronfeld. The All Blacks are piling and Kronfeld still goes. Wasn't held in the tackle. This time the Scots have gone to ground. Eric Peters. And it's Mertens who's going to go for goal.
Yes, Sean Fitzpatrick had one quick look round his forwards' faces there, and not one of them had the look of let's take a short one here, Sean, on their faces. So it was go for goal. it maybe seems boring, but if you were an All Black forward just now, the Scottish boys have taken the game to them. They've made them work for everything they've got.
So Mertens already 57 points in this tournament. Oh, and he's kicking quite immaculately in the second half. So that's increased the All Blacks lead now, 48 points to 23, and we've got 5 minutes of play remaining. So there's no question of who's going to get into the semi-finals and who's going to be on the plane home. So the remarkable thing is that the All Blacks have beaten Ireland and Wales. It looks as if they're going to beat Scotland and England next. No, that's going to be the semi-final. So, scrummage down. That's the All Blacks at 22. Untidy ball. Knocked on, first of all, by the All Blacks, so the scrummage goes to Scotland. Hold the shot, says Derek Bevan. Who, to my mind, has had another excellent game refereeing this afternoon. He's having lost patience, though, with the All Blacks, and away come Scotland quickly on the counter. Ian Morrison held up. Up to the 22 come the Scots. Now Redpath, Shield, Scott Hastings, the loop, Jardine. There's a little bit of a gap out here for Gavin Hastings. Joyner had moved inside, but Hastings still going. Just brought down 10 metres short. Logan, Jardine, quick transfer. Redpath, there's space outside. Morrison, he has a man outside. It's Scott Hastings. Scott Hastings going for the line. And Scott Hastings is over for a try. And the Scots haven't given up. They've kept going the whole time. And a thoroughly deserved try that for Scott Hastings.
Yes, certainly, Chris. Scotland are battling to the end, and it's great to see, basically. Gavin Hastings went down the right flank, hoping to score in his last international appearance, but then it's quick hands across the field, and rather surprisingly, no cover from the All Blacks. But Scott Hastings comes in off a leg, beats Ellis, and goes over for a thoroughly deserved try.
Well, it was Morrison who did the setting up work, and spotting that Scott Hastings had room to cut in there, he gave him a quick pass, and that was the difference. It just gave Hastings the opportunity to catch the All Blacks defence flat-footed. A little bit of complacency in that defence. Gavin Hastings eyes up the job ahead of him. Got a good contact on that, and another lovely kick from Hastings, and well, 30 points against New Zealand, the Scots' highest score against them, and it's still not going to be enough because the opposition score 48. It's hard to bear, but it's perhaps a fairer reflection of the division between the sides. So Mertens with the restart. Up there goes Stuart Campbell. Peters goes back to clear up difficult ball, gives very awkward pass to Gavin Hastings, who clears to Redpath, and Redpath with that lovely kick finds a good touch.
Yes, if I could go with that point that you just said, Chris, Scotland was going to score 30 points and lose the game to New Zealand, and we really got to say that New Zealand haven't, unbelievably, played to their full potential, so there'll be a warning sign for England for next weekend.
They've been very loose in a number of areas, and that's something, knowing the All Blacks, they'll be working very hard on. Ian Jones, possession spoiled there by Peters, so quickly through. Not forward though. Almost fell for the Scots, but so quickly through on that line-out ball, where they're going to go right to the last, the Scots. 2 minutes of play remaining. Bishop feeds. Mertens switches with Lomu, taken by Shield. Shield got in the way, I think, but it was effective. And the Scots have got a penalty. They want to run it quickly. Or do they? No, Hastings is coming up. Thinks, well, 2 minutes, Clive. I've got a few points. Maybe if I can get a few more points on the board in 2 minutes.
Well, it's obviously going to be his last kick at a penalty at international level, and I'm sure that he'll want to go out with putting this straight between the posts so that he can remember in his long retirement that he actually scored his last 3 points against New Zealand in a World Cup quarter-final.
Well, he's been a marvellous ambassador for rugby, and for Scottish rugby in particular. It's a long way out. He didn't seem to get quite the contact he wanted. Jeff Wilson touches them. So we move now in almost into injury time. 48 points at a 30. And Culhane just waits. The Scots have it, and they're moving forward again. This is very encouraging play from them. They've never given up, despite always having an uphill struggle. Away comes Jardine, running again, taking the game to the All Blacks, with support from Wainwright and Peters, held up on the 22. Redpath again to Shield. There's a lot of cover out there. Quick hands out to Joyner, who'd moved over. It's Joyner still going. Joyner linking up with Logan. Logan held by Bunce. The Scots have 15 metres still to go. They're trying to do it through the forwards. They lay it back now for Redpath. The switch with Jardine. Jardine tries to link up with Peters, just couldn't quite get to the ball. The All Blacks have won it, but unfairly. Holding a man back. Jardine, who's looked very sharp since he's come on in the centre, made quite a few dents. And the All Blacks forced into more indiscretions. They go for it quickly. Scott Hastings held up. Peters holds. Now it's Shield. Shield still has possession of it. Lays it back for Kenny Milne. Redpath. Away they come. Jardine held up. Scott Hastings in there to try and lend his support. And this time, though, the Scots penalised for trying to play the ball back on the ground. The last desperate efforts. How they would love to have got another score here and come at least within striking distance. Ian Jardine, who's been on as the replacement for Craig Chalmers.
But Chris, Scotland can go home with their heads held high. They really have done British rugby proud.
And that's the final whistle, and Scotland we say farewell to. We also, International Rugby bids farewell to Gavin Hastings. His odyssey began 9 years ago, and in that time he's won every honour the game can bestow. Generous in victory and a magnificent player, generous also in defeat. He's made his mark on this tournament. The Scots, though, go out. We bid farewell to them, but it's no disgrace losing to them and to this man Lomu, who caused the damage again all afternoon. So the All Blacks are into the semi-final with a place against England. They win a very handsome victory by 48 points to 30.